Okay, let's just dive right in. If you're following the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, what you're seeing is, well, it's a high-stakes organization basically managing a massive internal stress test.
It really is. It feels like a crisis on three different fronts all happening at once.
Exactly. We've got sources detailing this huge organizational shakeup. Then you have critical injuries just destabilizing the entire lineup. And on top of that, this intensified, really targeted pursuit of a top defenseman.
It's a perfect storm. And what's so fascinating here, I think, is that the outward appearance is quiet. You know, the team isn't making a lot of noise in the news cycle, but that doesn't mean there's inactivity.
Not at all.
It reflects this incredibly intense period of positioning and evaluation behind the scenes. The GM is trying to weigh immediate needs against, long-term stability. And all of this is happening while chaos is just rattling the front office and the locker room.
So our mission today is to cut right through that noise. We're going to decode what this midseason firing of an assistant coach really tells us about management's priorities.
And how the sudden loss of key players is scrambling their whole tactical blueprint.
Right. And what this renewed chase for Calgary's Rasmus Anderson means for the team's chances right now and for its assets down the road. Let's start where the organization made its biggest statement. That organizational shockwave.
Yeah, management said an unmistakable message here. It was basically, underperformance at this level with this particular roster is just not going to be tolerated.
And that message was the firing of assistant coach Marc Savard mid-season.
Mid-season. This wasn't some planned summer move. This happened after a really brutal stretch where the team was just struggling to find wins. They had a 1-4-1 record over their previous 6 games.
And while that overall record was, concerning, the core problem that actually led to the dismissal was so glaringly obvious it just became impossible to defend.
Oh, absolutely.
Savard was the architect of the power play, and when he was let go, that unit was ranked dead last.
Dead last in the entire National Hockey League.
Yeah.
Converting at just a dismal 13.3%.
It's unbelievable. Which raises the huge question, right? How does a power play with guys who are perennial top 10 scorers just fall off a cliff like that?
Well, that's it. We're talking about a unit that was dynamic. It was dangerous just last season. But the struggles were specific. The unit became static. It was predictable.
No movement.
None. And it lacked the speed you need for puck retrieval, especially, around the blue line and in the slot.
The numbers detailing the failure are they're brutal. Our sources confirm that in the entire month of December, the team scored just 2 power play goals.
2 goals across 27 opportunities.
27. I mean, that's a catastrophic failure rate for a team that's supposedly built on elite offensive talent.
And it wasn't just low conversion. It was complete silence when they needed a goal the most, when they needed a momentum swing.
Right.
On a recent road trip, they failed on 10 straight power play chances. And then, just days before the coaching change, they went 0 for 5 against Washington. It had a crucial loss. Management just couldn't look past that.
And the context here makes the decision even more dramatic. Just the season before, the Leafs power play was elite. I mean, it finished the 2024-2025 season ranked 9th in the NHL.
At 24.8%.
Yeah, that is a massive year-over-year drop. It basically signaled to the front office that the scheme itself was failing, not just the players.
But here's where it gets interesting, the strategic nuance. The decision didn't come with an external replacement.
No new hire.
No. Instead, assistant coaches Derek Lowland and Mike Van Ryn just absorbed the power play duties. This suggests management believed the talent was there, and the existing staff just needed to simplify things, change the zone entry, something, rather than bring in a whole new voice.
What I have to ask, was the power play failure the real problem, or was Savard just the necessary scapegoat?
Well, it's a fair question.
By firing an assistant, management sends a message of accountability without touching the head coach, Craig Berube, who's still pretty new in the role.
It's certainly a temporary firewall for Berube.
Right. It shields him, but it also ratchets up the pressure on the staff that's left to fix this major issue, and to fix it immediately.
It does. But the tactical shift that followed is key. Sources indicate that Lowland and Van Ryn, they immediately focused on increasing shot volume, pushing for quicker puck movement away from the perimeter.
Suiting it to the net.
Exactly. Demanding better slot coverage by the forwards. Simple, high-percentage fixes designed to just stop the bleeding. The success, or the failure of that internal fix is what's going to determine Berube's future in the short term.
And that focus on immediate internal fixes is being tested severely because the team's problems are suddenly no longer confined to whiteboard strategy. They are physical.
Yeah.
And this physical instability is, at the same time, cranking up the need for action in the trade market.
Precisely. They weren't just losing games because of a bad strategy. The mental stress, it feels like it quickly manifested as physical volatility. Which brings us to the chaos around William Nylander.
This was just textbook disruption. Nylander was suddenly ruled out with a lower body injury, day to day. But the crucial detail, the thing that matters, is the timing.
Oh yeah. The decision came, shortly before puck drop.
Minutes before.
Just imagine that scene for a second. The coaching staff has this detailed blueprint for the game. Lines are set, matchups are drilled, special teams are practiced, and then, minutes before the game, one of your top offensive drivers, a guy who dictates the pace and is key to the power play, is just gone.
It forced Coach Berube into this immediate high-pressure rebuild of his entire lineup. You have depth players who were expecting, 10 minutes of ice time?
With that.
Suddenly, they're pushed into top 6 roles. Special teams units are completely reshuffled with no notice. It changes everything. Berube kept his comments short, just day-to-day, but that uncertainty, that cripples your planning for the next week of games.
And that disruption up front is just compounded by the pre-existing and very significant hole on defense.
The blue line was already under pressure.
And now, defenseman Chris Tanev is ruled out for a significant period with a groin injury.
The sources are clear on this. Tanev's absence is not a small scratch. This is a major destabilizing force for them. Tanev is their quintessential shutdown defenseman.
He's a key penalty killer, a volume shot blocker. He's the guy they rely on to eat up those tough defensive minutes against the other team's top lines.
And losing him means so much more than just one roster spot. It forces the other defensemen, many of whom are already struggling a bit, to play above their pay grade.
It completely compromises their ability to match up against offensive firepower. And critically, it just puts a massive magnifying glass on Toronto's defensive depth, which reinforces the rationale for that urgent trade engagement we talked about.
So if we connect all this to the bigger picture, the injury crisis, losing a top forward and a key shutdown D-man, and the fact that the pool of available top 4 defensemen is shrinking, it has just dramatically raised the stakes for getting Rasmus Andersson.
It really has. Toronto is moving quietly, but Andersson has been one of the most talked about defensemen in trade circles since, last summer.
Right, and he is exactly the right profile for what they need right now.
He's the Calgary Flames blue liner. He's entering the final year of his contract, and he has not committed to an extension. Multiple league reports suggest that if Calgary stays out of the playoff picture, moving him becomes a very realistic option. They can't risk him just walking away for nothing.
And Toronto is absolutely in those discussions. David Payada confirmed the Leafs are one of the teams that have kicked the tires on Andersson. That was even before the Tanev injury cemented the urgency.
Now, the internal circumstances are basically forcing the GM's hand.
So let's talk about why Andersson is such a prize target and why the price tag is going to be so high.
Well, yeah, he's productive. He put up 25 points in 39 games this season. But the real appeal is his utility. He averages over 24 minutes of ice time per game.
True top pair minutes.
Absolutely. And he provides physicality. 71 blocked shots, 21 hits. But crucially, his usage shows he's consistently deployed against the other team's top competition. That's something the Leafs desperately need to stabilize their pairings.
But here's the real game changer. The leverage point that I think separates Toronto from other potential bidders. It's what we call the extension factor.
Precisely. The sources are indicating that the Leafs would be one of the teams that Andersson would strongly consider signing an extension with if a trade were to happen.
And that just transforms the entire trade calculus for the general manager.
It does. Instead of just getting a pure rental player, which usually costs you, say, a conditional first-round pick and a prospect,
you're potentially acquiring a 5 to 7 year anchor for your blue line. And that justifies a much higher cost in assets, maybe a pop prospect plus an unconditional first. It completely mitigates the risk of mortgaging your future for a short-term gamble.
And that's exactly why Calgary hasn't rushed this. They're waiting. They're hoping more sellers emerge, trying to ignite a bidding war that forces a desperate GM to overpay.
And Toronto's patience has been calculated. Their bet